Okay, I also need to go live on Facebook. Just give me a minute. I'll just go live on Facebook and start sharing my screen in a minute.
Sorry.
I'll go live on Facebook and then start sharing
Okay.
my screen.
Yeah. Let me know, then
Can
I'll start.
everyone else hear me clearly? If you can. Yes, yes, yes. Please, all the other participants, please, can you actually write in the chat box that you can hear my voice clearly? Because, or is it just, if you can just type a yes, it'll be lovely. Yes, yes. Thank you, Shobha.
Should I start?
Yeah, we are almost live. Yeah. Okay, great. We are live, so we can start. I'll just address everyone and then we can start. Mm, Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining the session today with us. Thank you all for joining. I am very happy and more than happy. I'm very proud to introduce my friend, my uh, batchmate, my close friend in college. So it's very nice to have colleagues, share knowledge and be in the same platform. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. So I am more than happy to introduce you all to Dr. Divya. I have seen her through college, so me talking will be very, um, so I've always seen her as a fitness enthusiast. I've always seen her, you know, we've always, um, had a rapport on mind level. Like we always talk, and we have another colleague with us who you'll always, brainstorm on all the mind symptoms and all that. It's wonderful to see now we are having such, we have a place where we can share our knowledge. We can, grow as we share our knowledge. It's not only that we are somewhere, we are growing as we share our knowledge, and it's a wonderful feeling. And today she's going to talk about attachment styles. I'm very eager to listen to her topic. She's also doing her master's in psychology, which I'm also doing. So it is like we've been, it's wonderful to know that we've been on the same plane or the same line or the same track. It's lovely to see friends being, walking, even though despite the distances, walking in the same track it gives you a wonderful feeling. With that short note, we can start the session today. She's going to talk about attachment styles, and I'm going to share the screen right now. So, here it goes. Yes, Divya,
I'll
you
start.
can start
Yeah.
talking. Yep.
So, good evening, everyone. I think Rashmika gave a very good introduction about me, but still, I'll just talk once again that my name is Dr. Divya. I am a homeopathic doctor and a certified sports nutritionist and an aspiring psychologist. So, today's topic is going to be about attachment styles. So, why are we discussing about attachment styles today is basically because this this is going to apply to every individual in different ways. Like, every individual has one attachment style which basically determines the person's relationship with so it may be social relationships, maybe personal relationships, or maybe occupational relationships. So it basically determines the person's emotional behavior and reaction with people. So that is why it is important to know your own attachment style. So the intention of this webinar is basically to make you aware of what attachment styles you probably might have. This again, this you should not be concluding anything from this webinar. If you feel like you have any problems or any emotional issues, you can always consult a therapist or a doctor, definitely. So it's just an awareness webinar. I am sure that most of there are doctors over there are students over there, and there are some um other people also who are watching this webinar. So this is just a brief introduction which I'm telling you. It's an awareness webinar. Okay. So now let's talk about the attachment. What is the meaning of attachment? We'll just define attachment first. So it is a deep emotional bond between two people in which each of that person seeks closeness and security within each other. Okay. So basically this attachment theory is given by Bowlby. Okay, like John Bowlby, that's the surname. He basically found out that this attachment style which a person or an individual has is basically going to develops in the childhood. So what happens in the childhood when a child is born? The infant's behavior, how it is associated with the caregiver or the mother, is basically going to determine the attachment style which you'll have during in the adult phase. Like it is going to determine how you carry out your relationships in adulthood. Okay. So yeah, so the main attachment figure which the infant has is obviously the biological mother, but this might not be there in every case. So any caregiver who is there around the child or the infant, who is giving utmost care and nourishment and the necessary social interaction to that baby, is also going can also play this role. Basically the principal attachment figure which the infant needs. So whenever the child is going through some stressful situations or through some vulnerable situations, he tends to seek an attachment figure. Okay. So this 0 to 7 years of age, this age is so tender, it is so sensitive, it is basically the most crucial years of a child's development, psychological development, that is through the means of cognition as well as emotional development. Okay. So yeah, so why is it important to understand this emotional development? As I explained before, that it is going to determine how your adult relationships are, obviously. And you must be, obviously everyone goes through some of the other stressful situations, and you find that you either get very anxious, you get very angry, there are emotional outbursts and emotional instability. Okay. So why this happens within us and how we can cope up with it, basically, that is the reason why we are that is the reason why we are making you aware through this whole topic. And the importance of emotional health is something which I always emphasize on, and all the homeopaths also emphasize on. If you know the definition of health which is given by the WHO, it's the social, mental and physical well-being of a person. So you cannot be completely healthy if you are not emotionally happy. That is what is considered even by Dr. Hahnemann, which is who is our homeopathic pioneer, the one who started with this homeopathic system of medicines. He also states that if the person is completely cured or healed only if there are no mental ailments as well as physical ailments. The disease does not primarily just uh, is limited to the physical aspect. Our body is comprising of two spheres, the mental and the physical sphere, and both of these spheres go hand in hand. If the mental sphere is disturbed, then that's going to disturb the physical sphere also. So this is basically, there is a bridge between the mental and physical, which is going to include your hormonal system, your immunity, etc. That is why there are so many hormonal disorders which are there in today's generation, like PCOD, thyroid, and so many other hormonal problems. And people are prone to infections nowadays, even more and more. So this is the basic, the big picture which we are trying to encourage and we are trying to emphasize on, basically. Okay, so yeah, so today's topic is exclusively on the attachment styles. Okay, so what are attachment styles? So attachment theory is an area of psychology that describes the nature of emotional attachment between humans. It begins as children with our attachment to our parents. The nature of this attachment and how well it is fostered and cared for will then influence the nature of our attachment to romantic partners later in our life. Okay, so over here it said romantic partners, but it can affect your social aspect also, just with your friends and other colleagues in your occupational field. Okay, so your attachment style doesn't explain everything about your relationships, but it probably explains a great deal of why your close relationships have succeeded or failed in the manner that they did, why you are attracted to the people you are attracted to, and nature of the relationship problems that come up again and again for you. So what basically this means is that you probably might, the ones who now, all the adults, I'm sure most of the adults right now here are of our age, I think so. So you must be, obviously people are dating nowadays, right? So some of you might be going into some relationships where you are feeling that you are always attracted to some emotionally unavailable men or emotionally unavailable women. We just want friends with benefits and all that stuff. So this is what is going on in today's generation. There's nothing to be shy about. It's the truth. It's the fact which I'm telling you. So there are some things, there are some phases where we don't want to get emotionally attached to a person. We want our distance, or we feel that we don't have the mind space or the emotional space or the emotional energy to invest in. So these are the things which we realize in our dating aspect, right? So why does this happen is what we are going to discuss now. Okay, next slide. Rashu, next slide. Yeah, so we'll go into the types of attachment styles now. Okay, so there are basically 4 types of attachment styles. One is the secure attachment style, one is the anxious, one is the avoidant, and one is the anxious avoidant. So these attachment styles are basically categorized on the basis of 2 aspects, 2 emotions basically. One is anxiety and one is avoidance. Anxiety, as all of you know, is basically the worry part of our, brain. We are not sure of such some things, so we get worried, we get fearful, डर जाते हैं, basically that is anxiety. And avoidance is basically ignoring or going away from the situation or evading all that stuff. Okay, so on the basis of these 2 aspects there are 4 attachment styles. So the first one is the secure attachment style. Next slide. Yeah. So the secure attachment style is basically one of the most desirable attachment styles. So how are these people? The people with secure attachment styles are basically comfortable expressing their emotions, expressing intimacy, receiving the expression of others' emotions, understanding the feelings of the other person, comfortable and being comfortable with their vulnerability and being comfortable in their own vulnerability as well. That is what a secure attachment style is. These people are one of the most desirable people to fall into a relationship with. So uh, they know how to express their emotions and give security to the other person's emotions as well. They are capable of accepting rejection as well and moving on despite the pain in a positive way, and being open to other relationships if one does not work out well, basically, because some of them go into a very bad relationship, and they might probably just go bonkers because of that relationship, and they are very, very affected and hurt by that relationship, that they completely close their doors for the next person. Then they become distant, or they might become anxious, or they become very avoidant. So this is not the case in case of secure attachment styles. A secure person, if he goes through a bad relationship, or if he or she goes through some rejection or some denial, some disappointments, that person is not going to take that personally. He is secure with his own self-worth, his self-confidence, and he is open to be vulnerable to basically he is very courageous, he or she is very courageous to go into the next relationship, because they are so secure within themselves. They don't take things, obviously they get hurt, but they move on from that, and they are open to other relationships. They have very little trust issues, and they are very trustworthy, like they are the people who you can trust and be reliable on, basically. So this is one of the most desirable attachment styles. And as I mentioned, that these attachment styles are categorized on the basis of anxiety and avoidance, right? So the secure attachment styles persons are having low avoidance and low anxiety. So these people are confident, they know their self-worth, they are secure with expressing their emotions, being vulnerable with any person. And once they are vulnerable, or they get rejected or something like that, they move on from that in a positive way, and they're open to other relationships also. Okay, so this is the secure attachment style. So how does this secure attachment style develop? Like what happens in the childhood, which basically develop these secure attachment styles? So the caregivers or the parents who are there with the infant with these attachment styles, basically they are given, their needs are met, basically. They have ample quantity of love, affection, and all the nourishment and the social interaction which the infant needs with the mother or the parents or anyone around them, the caregivers, basically. It is sufficient for them, and these people who have this secure bond with their peers are going to basically develop this secure attachment style. I am not saying that a person will have secure attachment style all his life. This attachment styles basically are going to change if you go through some certain situations. Some people, everyone hits rock bottom one day, one time or the other. So the attachment style which you have is going to surface according to the situations which you go through. So secure attachment style people are not going to be stable all the time. I'm not saying that they're all the time stable and they are god people. It's not like that. Even they are humans, they also go through pain, they also get hurt, but they know how to deal with such stuff and they come out of it in a positive way. Even if you're not in an insecure attachment style right now, you can definitely work on it. It develops. You can always develop a good attachment style. It's going to take some time. It is a slow process, but you have to believe in it. So these secure attachment style people, basically they feel competent among their peers, but are also comfortable with their shortcomings to a degree. They exhibit healthy strong boundaries, can communicate their needs well in their relationships, and aren't afraid to leave a bad one if they think they need to. So these people are not going to be they are open to having relationships, but they are going to have certain standards and strong boundaries which are going to which is not bad. If when we are going to go into the next attachment styles where people have problems with such things, so they are open to having relationships, but they will have some certain standards and boundaries to which they will abide to in order to preserve their mental peace or their security, basically. And but they are simultaneously willing to be vulnerable with the other person also. Okay, so this is the secure attachment style. Next slide. Next is the anxious attachment style, which is also called as the preoccupied attachment style. So as the word suggests, the person is extremely anxious. They are very nervous and stressed out about their relationships. They need constant reassurance and affection from their partner. They seek validation from their partner. They are emotionally hungry people. They are people, like in layman terms, these people are called as clingy or needy, very thirsty for relationships, very desperate for relationships, and they seek validation and security through relationships. So these anxious attachment style persons are very low on self confidence. They are very low on their self love, their self worth. They are not aware of their self worth. They think that their self worth can be validated only via relationships or via people complimenting them or reassuring them all the time that yes, you are great. They are not able to see that aspect. They are very anxious, very low on self esteem. So that is why these attachment style people can go succumb to unhealthy or abusive relationships. They have trouble trusting people even if they are close to them. If the person is saying, if your partner is saying yes, you're beautiful, that anxious person is not satisfied with that. The person constantly needs validation, and that is why that other person with whom this anxious person is in a relationship with, that he or she might find it very exhausting. And this attachment style is definitely not a very attractive one. The person needs to work on their self-worth, their self-confidence, by pursuing their hobbies, their passions in life which make them happy. You should be happy within yourself, only then you can carry out a good relationship with someone. You should be confident within yourself, only then you can carry out a good relationship with the other person. Confidence is attractive, you guys. So anxious, even if you're in this anxious attachment style, try to analyze how your childhood was. So what happens in this person is basically their behavior can be irrational, sporadic, overly emotional, and probably that person might blame that other partner that he is very heartless, he is very cold, he does not like me, he doesn't praise me, he's not validating me. That is the thinking process of that anxious person. They are very low on self-esteem and they seek validation through others compliments or others affection, which should not be the case. You should be first affectionate with yourself, only then can you be will you be able to nurture and care and give love or affection in a relationship. Okay, so this is an example which I've given, that this is a girl or a boy who calls you 36 times in one night wondering why you didn't call him or her back, or the guy who follows his girlfriend to work to make sure she's not flirting with any other men. And women are more likely to be anxious types than men. So these are very insecure people, and this insecurity comes from within the lack of self-worth and the self-confidence which the person has within themselves. So if you are into this attachment style, I suggest that you pursue your hobbies, your passions, whatever makes you happy and confident within yourself. Change your lifestyle, start exercising, keep a good nutrition plan. You will start feeling very good about yourself. Okay, so why this attachment style develops? Next slide. So this anxious attachment strategies are developed in childhood by infants who receive love and care with unpredictable sufficiency. They generally have a positive view of their peers, but a negative view of themselves. Their romantic relationships have often been overly idealized and they rely too heavily on them for their own self-esteem. It's like I explained before, you seek validation through relationships or the affection of others because you lack the affection for yourself within you. That is the reason why you receive love, but probably not sufficient, and it's not completely fulfilled. That is why a person becomes insecure, a child becomes insecure and anxious in stressful situations. Okay, so this is the anxious preoccupied attachment styles. Also, one more thing on this, people are basically, they will try to be very generous, like they will go out of their way to help the other person, and you know, do everything for that person, bringing the moon down for them and all that stuff, you know. But that is not to make the other person happy. It is actually a way of satisfying your own self-worth. Yes, that I am a generous person, I can do this. If I do this, that person will appreciate me more, and that person will love me more, and that person will be more you know, compliment me more, basically. So that is the intention of doing these things for that other person, going out of their way to you know, seek validation. Again, the same thing. So they always need appreciation and assurance, these people. So as I mentioned before, that all these attachment styles are categorized on the basis of two aspects, that is the fear and the avoidance, right? So the avoidance in this type of attachment is very low. They cannot avoid, they are clingy, they are needy, they are desperate and thirsty for relationships. Okay, so that is the issue with this. So there is very low avoidance in these people and very high anxiety, and this anxiety is triggered from their own insecurity and lack of self-esteem. Okay, so now the next attachment style is the avoidant attachment style. So as the name suggests, again, the person is highly avoidant and very low on anxiety. This person is absolutely not anxious, but they are very avoidant. These people are, you know, very, they have a good self esteem, they have a good self worth, no issues with that. They can confidently carry out relationships if they fall into by any chance. They will be confident and they love themselves enough to survive, basically. But the issue with these people is that they require so much independence and you know, space for themselves, that they cannot accept another person in their space. That is why these people are called as commitment phobes, who are afraid of committing into the relationship. These people are very distant. They will emotionally shut down a person completely, like, you know, no, they have their doors completely closed. They are not low on anxiety or anything, but they are just avoidant, you know, they just dismiss the person. No, you cannot come near me. That is the issue with these people. If you are pressurizing such a person, you know, or talking to a person, he might not open up to you completely because he doesn't like to open up so much. He doesn't like to be vulnerable with that other person, and he does not like to be close to another person. So there is a fear of intimacy in these people. So if you are trying to talk to these people and trying to you know, open up, like helping them to open up, they will probably say that no, you're suffocating me, you're smothering me when you're trying to get close or intimate with that person. So that is what they will feel. So it is an exit strategy. If they feel that, oh my god, the other person is getting too attached to me, then they'll just run for the hills. That's the thing with avoidant attachment style. So this is an example. This is the guy who works 80 hours a week and gets annoyed when women he dates want to see him more than once on the weekend. Or the girl who dates dozens of guys over the course of years but tells them all she doesn't want anything serious, and inevitably ends up ditching them when she gets tired of them. Men are more likely to be the avoidant type rather than the women. Okay, so this is the avoidant attachment style. And what, because of what this basically, why this attachment style develops, is because the infants who only get some of their needs met while the rest are neglected. For instance, he or she gets fed regularly but is not held enough. When an infant is born, the primary connection is the physical connection. You know, the mother holds the baby towards her chest. That connection is very crucial for the baby. If it's not held enough and it's not fed enough, then these problems occur in this problems. So avoidant attachment style, so basically that is why they become more independent, you know. These people are, Rashu, I think the slide is wrong which you are showing. Yeah. So yeah, so these basically the baby is not is fulfilled with some or the other affection, but there are some parts of the nourishment which are neglected by the caregiver. That is why they feel that, okay, no, I should be taking care of myself. It's not going to be met. So I have to do my own stuff and, you know, just be independent. Basically, that is how this mindset develops in an adult, and that is why they have such problems. So if you are dealing with this avoidant attachment style, I hope you are aware of this fact, and I want to tell you that please, it's, I know it's difficult, and especially all the avoidant attachment style people are not even going to accept that they are avoidant attachment style, because they are so dismissive. They are not going to accept this. They are not aware. They don't have any insight about all this. If even if I try to explain to an avoidant person about this, he is going to shut me out. That's the problem. That is a very big problem with these people. So you have to be patient with such people and give them love, give them affection, of course, while you are preserving your own standards and boundaries to maintain your peace. Because if you are providing too much and these people are going to shut you out, it's going to, you know, affect you emotionally, that you're giving so much and you're getting nothing in return. That should not happen. That is the one thing which you should keep in mind, that you should never expect anything in return from such people. Okay. So if you are dealing with an avoidant person, like you are not an avoidant but you're dealing with an avoidant partner or a person, be patient with them and try to talk to them in a way which will not, you know, pressurize them in any way, and spend some time with this person, and where you will be able to share a common interest maybe, and get your adrenaline boosting, you know, and some things which you can do together, enjoy together, you know, maybe any sport, or maybe any game, or maybe any hobby, anything, and try to get connected with this person. This person will definitely open up gradually. It is, I know, if you are in a relationship with such a person, then it is even more difficult to understand this, and it is probably very frustrating for the other person too, because that person is so dismissive and shuts you out all the time. You are not able to express emotions to such a person. Okay, so it's okay. Try to be patient if you're already in a relationship with such a person. But if you are pursuing such a person, then I suggest that you really take your own space, take a step back, and try to understand that person, why he is the way he is, or if she is the way she is. Okay. So these avoidant people are low on anxiety and high on avoidance. So now the next style is the anxious avoidance style. This is the last type. Okay, so it is a mixture of anxious and avoidance. So uh, the person is highly anxious and highly avoidant. So how does this work? This is a mixture, right? So it's a bit confusing, but that is why it is there is an internal conflict going on in these anxious avoidant persons. Since they are anxious persons, their self-esteem and their self-worth is again low, right? So they are fearful of rejection. And if they are fearful of rejection, it means they are fearful of intimacy also. It's not that they don't want to be intimate. They do want to be intimate. They, if you get into a relation with an anxious avoidant person, you will definitely be reciprocated, unlike the avoidant style. But this person is going to be afraid of intimacy in the beginning. You know, if you are trying to pursue, or you're just, you know, trying to get to know that other person, he might not completely give in. Basically, these persons, since they are low on self-esteem and self-worth, that they are going to be afraid of rejection. Like, you know, if they open up, if they become vulnerable, and that is not reciprocated or given security, then they will hit rock bottom, or they will just go bonkers. You know, that is why they avoid, like, you know, prevent ही करते directly. They avoid completely because they don't want to go into that trap, you know, of opening up and then that not being reciprocated or that not being given security. Then it's better to avoid that situation or that relationship. That is the basic thing of anxious avoidant style personalities. So anxious avoidant attachment styles are not only afraid of intimacy and commitment, but they distrust and lash out emotionally at anyone who tries to get close to them. So they are very suspicious of the other person, you know, like what is his intention? Is he really going to come into a relationship with me and provide me with security and affection? Or is he just trying to play me? Or, you know, what is the deal basically? That is what that thought comes on in this person's mind. Anxious avoidants often spend much of their time alone and miserable or in abusive and dysfunctional relationships. As the person is anxious, he, like, you know, the anxious style which we spoke about before is the same thing. That person is going to go into abusive and dysfunctional relationships because of their low self-esteem again. Okay, so yeah, so there is a mixture. So basically this style is basically a person who is low on self-esteem, low on self-worth, and is afraid of being and if he becomes vulnerable or she becomes vulnerable in presence of other person, and if that is not reciprocated or that is not you know, given security to that vulnerability, then they are going to shut their doors and they're going to avoid it completely. Okay, so this person is not going to completely dismiss the other person. He will try to open up. That person will try to open up. But what if you are dealing with such a person, then it is important for you to understand that you should be uh, able to reciprocate to such people's emotions very well. Okay, so it should not mean that, you know, you shouldn't be thinking, oh god, this person is so, you know, irritating, this is, he's so anxious, he or she is going to drive me mad. It's not going, it shouldn't be like that. Otherwise they will be afraid of getting into another relationship or getting intimate even with you if you are in a relationship with such a person. Or if you are having any friend who is going through such situation, you can always help them out by making them understand this style of theirs. Okay, so these people are high on anxiety and high on avoidance. So why this style basically develops? So this anxious avoidance style basically develops from abusive or terribly negligent childhoods. They often have a hard time relating to their peers at all. They seek both intimacy and independence in their romantic interactions, sometimes simultaneously, which, as you can imagine, leads to some pretty messed up dysfunctional relationships. So I won't say that this person is these type of attachment styles are completely bad. It is necessary to have intimacy and to have your own independence in the relationship as well. But the problem with these people is that they go to extreme ends. They either become extremely anxious or they can become completely avoidant at one point. So this is the issue with such people. So you need to be patient with such people, try to understand their vulnerability, reciprocate to that vulnerability and the emotions which they have expressed to you. That is extremely important too for these attachment styles. Okay. So the next slide, Rashu. Can your attachment style change? Yeah. This is a very important thing to understand. Now you've understood that there are these 4 attachment styles and that's how you relate with another person, right? So the the thing to understand now is whether this attachment style which you have currently right now is going to be there for your entire life. No, that's not the case. This is one good point, that your attachment style can change over time. It is slow, it will be difficult, especially in cases of the dismissive avoidant type or the anxious avoidant type. It's going to take some time, but you can definitely work on it. If you understand in which style you belong to, you will get an idea of how much you love yourself, how much you're secure, how much secure you are within yourself, and how much self-worth you have, and what you how you look up to yourself, basically. You'll get an idea. So if you get this idea, you can definitely work on yourself and automatically change. Okay. The other thing is that, as I mentioned during the secure attachment style, that you everyone goes through some difficult situations, through stressful situations. We hit rock bottom every now and then. Some people are even stuck in vicious cycles of these. So it's everyone goes through a bad phase. So that can definitely move your attachment style. A secure attachment style person may go into a relationship and change your attachment style. A secure attachment style person may go into a relationship, and that relationship is so bad with that person that he will completely become avoidant or anxious avoidant. You can never say anything. So your styles can change, but if you are understanding which style you are, you can definitely work on it in a positive way. If you are already a secure person, you are going to be able to comprehend this even more, and you will be on the you'll be happy with yourself, basically. So yeah, so an example over here which I've given is that extreme negative life events such as divorce, death of child, serious accidents, in some cases very bad breakups, can cause a secure attachment style to fall into a more insecure attachment type, that is the anxious or the anxious avoidant type. Okay. For instance, a man may be more or less secure, get married to an anxious type, bring her up to a more secure level, but when they run into money trouble, she falls back to her anxious level, cheats on him, and then divorces him for all of his money, sending him into a tailspin of avoidance. So he goes on to ignore intimacy and just pump up a woman and then dump the woman, basically, for the next 10 years because he is afraid of intimacy. So this happens. So if you have gone through a bad phase in your life and you feel that you have changed a lot, but that change is not a good change, you are not able to open up anymore, you are not able to be vulnerable with another person, then it is time to realize and become aware of yourself and how you can work on yourself in such cases. You need to understand that you can be vulnerable. There are good people out there who are going to reciprocate to you and to your vulnerability and help you get through some bad times, or make you feel better, basically. That should not be the primary objective. Like, you should not be seeking validation from others. Obviously, you should be first working on yourself and believe that yes, there are good people out there also. Okay. So you can so the anxious and the avoidant types. Okay. So if you are the anxious type of a person, you can always work on developing yourself, creating healthy boundaries, and fostering a healthy self image. One of my most common pieces of dating advice is for men to find something they're passionate about and good at and make that a focal point of their life rather than women. Okay. And avoidant types can work on opening themselves up to others and enrich their relationships through sharing more. And another piece of advice to everyone is that it's your responsibility to find something great in everyone you meet. It's not their responsibility to show you. You should be curious and stop being so judgmental. We are humans, we are mammals. Our primary trait of being a mammal is basically to be in a herd, right? And when you mean by a herd, you need to be in a group. We are social animals. So you cannot be avoidant every time. Yes, you should take some space out for yourself and for some mental peace, self time, self love, and all that stuff. Yes, that is extremely necessary. You cannot just latch on to a person 24 hours and just be with them and for them. You should be first having your own identity, your own self-worth and self-confidence, but simultaneously be open to other things, being open to intimacy, vulnerability, and all that stuff. So if you feel that you are into these avoidant types, and you are talking to a person, maybe a friend, your partner, or anything, and you feel you since you are attending this webinar now, you will understand that other person even more well, if they are anxious, if they are avoidant, if they are I don't know, any other style. So if you are talking to a dismissive, avoidant person, then probably it's going to be difficult for you to express your emotions to that person. So create a boundary over there. Okay, so this is just an example which I'm telling you. So yeah, so attachment styles are basically going to surface according to the situations which you go through, but you can definitely work on these things and get better. Self love is the utmost need of the hour, and you should be loving yourself first. That is the main thing which I keep on telling in every video of mine, that love yourself. You're worth it. You're worth of every happiness in this world, and you deserve the world. Okay, so yeah, so now the next thing which I would like to just brief on is homeopathy. Okay, so I am a homeopathic doctor, and this is a very beautiful system of medicine which I would like to just brief you on. We basically, as I mentioned before, the physical and the mental aspect go hand in hand, and that is how your physiological functions or your physical functions dysfunction or go haywire because of some stress. If you see that a person has had cancer or has immunity issues, seasonal infections and all that stuff, these people have a lot of stress in their life, and they're not able to cope up, mentally cope up. When you're not able to mentally cope up, they manifest into physical diseases. So nowadays there are so many lifestyle disorders, especially PCOD, thyroid, diabetes, all these things. These are all hormonal issues, and diabetes is such a bad thing which is going on right now. So the intention of homeopathy is to treat the person as a whole. If you are seeking for help or advice, then I suggest that you always seek to a homeopath first. Yes, if you're into emergency, obviously you need to rush to the hospital, that's a different case. But if you are going through some chronic issues and some stubborn issues, I suggest you go into homeopathy. Because yeah, so I'll just read out. Homeopathic understanding of health is intimately connected to its understanding of the mind in general. So we prescribe medicines on the basis of the personality of a person, and the things and the physical aspect also. So we give minimum amount of medicine to patients who are going through some physical issues. We always, any physical issue, may it be a minor infection or may it be cancer, you know, any level of pathology, we always dig into the emotional aspect and how the person is uh, in general, emotionally and behavior wise. Okay, so we always try to determine a person's mental state which is causing his physical disease. Okay, so yeah, so that is what I wanted to speak on homeopathy. And we basically prescribe medicines for the sick person on the basis of their mental state as well as physical state. That is why homeopathy has a very good effect on emotional instability and psychiatric patients as well. I'm not saying that every emotionally unstable person is a psychiatric person or psychiatric patient, but it can definitely lead to one uh, illness, a mental illness. The reason why I always emphasize on emotional health is because is this only: either you go into a physical disease or you will go into a mental disease if you are not able to cope up with it effectively. And in today's generation, it is even more worse. In fact, in our older generations or our ancestors, there was more physical labor rather than a mental labor. But now things have become so easy, and there are so many other factors like social media and all that stuff, you know, which is basically causing a chaos in your emotional health, mental health, and ultimately affecting your physical health. And or you might even go into a psychiatric disorder. I'm not saying that you are, but there are people who go into that aspect. So it's important to understand this, and homeopathy is one of the best therapeutic systems which you can turn to for, especially for your emotional health. Because in modern medicine or the allopathic medicine system of medicine, even if they give medicines to a psychiatric patient, they are going to give medicines which are just going to suppress or uh, just trying to realign the chemical imbalance which is there inside the brain, which has been resulted because of your overthinking or your anxiety or your anger and all that. But you should understand that there is something deeper, or there is something dynamic or beyond that chemical balance. Those are chemicals which can be seen, through microscopes basically. But there is something beyond that. That is the reason why you're able to think, that is the reason why you're able to feel, that is the reason there is some dynamic energy which is there inside you. This energy is basically the energy which we focus on in homeopathy. And when we work on this energy and prescribe on this energy, there is a miraculous change in the person. The person might sleep well, and he might be able to emotionally cope up well. Psychiatric medicines are not going to help you emotionally cope up with anything. They are just going to suppress the emotions for the time being. And if you stop those medicines, after a while you're going to face side effects or withdrawal effects and become even twice as crazy as before. So it's a vicious cycle. If you're turning towards allopathy for such cases, then I'm not against allopathy, but it's a fact which I'm telling you. Every system has some limitations and some you know yeah, every system has some or the other limitations, but this is one of the most best systems of medicines which you can turn to. And if you turn to such system early enough, then you're going to definitely benefit from it emotionally and as well as physically. So yeah, so that is about it. This is the topic which I wanted to speak on. And yeah, so I hope all of you liked it. Are there any questions, Rashmika? Any questions?
Can you hear me now?
Love is a given. We are born selfish. Why does that not continue later on when we need it? Okay. Selfishness is not something which we are born with. I don't think so. As infants, we don't understand all this. All we are, as infants, we only desire affection from our caregivers. So you cannot conclude that every person, like people are born selfish. They might go through some situations or some bad states where you might develop such a mindset of being selfish. That is why people go into avoidant style. If you have seen the avoidant type, which I spoke about, you might go into an avoidant style because of going through some bad situation, become completely independent and away from people, and I'm the boss, or I'm like that basically. So you can't say that we are born selfish. We basically go through some situations, and if you've gone through some situations and you feel that, yeah, I'm self-reliant, that's a good thing that you're self-reliant. But you should understand that you should be able to be vulnerable with the right people. If and I'm not saying be vulnerable to every person you meet. Since you've seen this webinar, I'm sure that you understand, you will be able to analyze that other person's attachment style or that other person's emotional behavior, how they will react to you if you express your vulnerability. So it's up to you whether you want to become vulnerable to that particular person. Try to understand that person first and then become vulnerable. But you need to have that courage to become vulnerable with other people. Otherwise, you are going to be stuck in the vicious cycle of being avoidant all the time or being selfish all the time. So yeah, we only think of ourselves when we are young. We scream when we don't get what we want. Love has to be taught as well as shared. Of course, that is the thing which I was talking about. When you are 0 to 7 years of age, the infants need affection, the infants need nourishment, the infant needs a good social interaction with the mother and with the other caregivers also. So love is obviously very important for our mental peace, but you should stop expecting love from others and first try to love yourself. That is what I would say. I'm not saying that you should not expect love completely from people. Of course, human, there are good people out there. You need to believe that there are good people out there and reciprocate with such people. If you feel that that person is really reciprocating, then there is no issue of being vulnerable with them. That is how you develop attachment, a good attachment or a secure attachment. But first you need to understand that you should be secure and secure within yourself and love yourself, know your self-worth, and create boundaries accordingly, and then behave or talk to that other person accordingly, right?
Yeah, like, well, hi Divya, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, great. Hi. Lovely webinar. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, this is such a
I'm
lovely
glad.
webinar. I think people are also saying it's opening up awareness and stuff. We
Yeah.
have a question from Nidhi. She's asked, I have become avoidant and I'm not able to trust anyone. I tried to share my problems with people in a positive way, but they couldn't help me. Sometimes I can't sleep. Can you address
Okay.
this?
I tried to share my problems with people in a positive way, but they couldn't help me. Sometimes I can't sleep. So, yeah, so I would like to tell you one thing. I understand your condition. First of all, it is difficult to be vulnerable to. It is difficult to be vulnerable again when your vulnerability is not reciprocated. So I won't say you are avoidant, but you are anxious avoidant probably, of an anxious avoidant style. So you need to understand the other person. Okay, first of all, you should work on your self esteem. If you are an anxious person and you feel that you cannot open up again to a particular person again, you should first love yourself and embrace your inner child. You are an adult right now, right? So try to imagine the little girl which you were and hug that little girl inside you, that it's okay. You can be vulnerable and not be reciprocated again. So don't be anxious again to become vulnerable with another person. You can definitely trust that there are good people out there. Again, I'm saying there are plenty of fish in the sea, so you can definitely be patient, and the right person will definitely come along. Just have some healthy boundaries around you and keep your standards high and value yourself a lot, and the right person will definitely invest into you and reciprocate your vulnerability for sure. So make sure that you are not completely closing your doors of vulnerability. It is always good to express your emotions and vulnerability, because if not, then you are going to go into some physical pathologies or sleep issues which you are talking about. If you are having a lot of sleep issues and it's really taking a toll on your body, I suggest you seek some homeopathic treatment for that. It's Homeopathic works wonders on sleep. I wish I could share a case with you, but it will take a lot of time. But it really works wonders. The right medicine, in spite of having a pathology in your body, is going to act on your nerve cells the most. You're going to sleep so peacefully when you are given the right homeopathic remedy. So if you feel that it's really taking a physical toll on your body, then you can definitely seek homeopathic treatment from a good doctor. I am a doctor also, you can consult me. Rashmika is also a doctor, you can consult her, and there are many other homeopathic doctors. But unfortunately, the issue is that every homeopathic doctor does not dig into the mental aspect, because they have an allopathic mindset and they feel that it's just limited to the physical sphere. But it is so much beyond that. It's so much beyond just the physical sphere. It's something more dynamic. It's beyond just, it's all the
beyond
mental
our
aspect, you know. So if you
it
feel that you are
the sky is not
having
the
such
limit.
issues, then please do consult. You can message me anytime, I'll help you out.
The sky is not the limit. Very true. Well said. I think that you rightly said that self care and self worth takes a person
I
long,
can't
long.
hear you, Rashu. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you well said. You put it so well that self care and self worth takes a person. It changes a person completely. Today, I had a patient who had 3 months ago. She had come to me with so much of problems, so much of anxiety, so much of sleep issues, and all that. I've been treating her for the past 3 months, and today she came with a positive approach, and I think that it changes your day also. It gives you a hope, a big ray
Changes
of
the
hope that
perception of the person.
exactly. She was
That is
very
how
happy.
homeopathy works. It's a
She was
wonderful system.
very true, very true. So I was also very glad about it. It gives you also a fresh thought of how the what limits you can reach with such a wonderful system of medicine. In our Facebook, we have she said that in Christian belief, we are born into sin, that is imperfection, which makes us selfish. Like she said, I believe that love is never thought. Love is never thought. Even a child who's born in an orphanage is knows to love because love is never thought. It comes, it is acquired. It's just that the obstruction is only that it lies only where that the person is not able to love or not able to show the love. That is where the problem arises, and it's never thought. Otherwise the others are gradually developed, being egoist, be it ego, be it selfishness, be it anything else. It is because of the circumstances. It's always circumstantial, but this is love is such a pure thing that the attachment styles I wanted to talk about. If you have time, can you dig in a little about attachments with parents and the children, like you said, how it develops? But nowadays we have the millennial generation who are becoming parents, and they are also equally confused on the attachment or the you don't know where to hold the child or where to let the child explore in such a way. Even the parents are getting way too attached or way too less attached, because today as a generation is a very mixed kind of a generation where parents are working 24/7.
Yes,
At the same
definitely.
time they want the attachment to the child 24/7. So we have a mixed generation, especially
Right.
in this time. And we should be all lucky for the pandemic, which has opened our eyes, saying you have to spend more time about yourself, you have to
Definitely.
spend more time with the family, you should.
Definitely.
Very true. So it has opened our third eye probably, and made sure that we give correct importance to everything in our life and not just run behind money or work or whatever they've been running behind all their lives. So that's something which is
Yes.
very, very important. Ravi has asked, is there any permanent cure for seborrheic dermatitis in homeopathy? Please suggest. Okay, we've been talking about mental health, but still, anyways,
Seborrheic
seborrheic, yes,
dermatitis. Of
yeah, yeah,
course,
of course,
definitely. But since seborrhea is basically excessive production of oil from your oil glands, right? So that is a tendency of your skin. So it's called a diathesis. It is a tendency. So it takes time, but it definitely can be treated with homeopathy. Of course,
definitely.
definitely.
But again, Rabia, it needs case taking. It needs your patience as well. You know, you should come to the doctor and give your in case. You have to give your history, and then it would definitely make wonders. Gurdeep here on Facebook has been a big enthusiast. He said that I'm also homeopath of good experience. Dr. Divya, you're doing a great job and nicely explaining. He
Thank you.
also said that. In simple ways, okay, you should translate it in other languages too, so that all the laymen can understand. Yes, Gurdeep, she also has a YouTube channel where you can she addresses to everyone, not just homeopaths, not just doctors, not just students. She's addressing it to the general public,
Follow me
saying
on Instagram. Show some support.
yes. She also that is where I think, you know, this generation stands, that they stand for what they support for, be it mental health, be it anything, be it the I think we need to have another session on LGBTQ,
Of
and I
course,
think
of course.
some things which we need to talk and explore more about, and at this day and age, which is very important. So that's lovely. Any more questions? Any more questions you have, or else it's it's more than an hour, so we can end the session on a high and happy note.
That's all.
Any more questions? Anything else you want to suggest? So it was a lovely session. Thank you so much, Divya. It has been like, I think every doctor, be it any system, should consider the in person, not just be it an allopath, be it an homeopath, be it anyone, even if you're just going to take an acute, even if you're just going to take considering a physical, the person who's sitting opposite to you, you know, in the other end of the table, is also a human being. That person is not just going to come to you with itching or pain or just the symptom. The person is going through something, and that is why the person has come to you. So, you know, someone has raised their hand. If
Someone
anyone,
is raising a question.
Sandhya Shri, if you want to ask any question, please type in the chat box below. It will be lovely. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, so it's, where was I? I've lost my train of thoughts. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, it. I think the mental health is something which is a big deep dive in the ocean, and every individual has to be understanding. I think whatever be it in any attachment style, be it in, you know, even if the person is so anxious, the moment a person could take just one moment back before doing any taking any step further and making things worse, just take a step back and analyze
Right.
what the other person is, who the other person, where the other person is coming from, or
Right.
who you are, where are you coming from, and why are you wanting something like this before taking any step. Be it being gonna you if even if you're gonna shout at another person, being, or you're gonna self harm yourself by doing something. I think toxic is some a word which is overused and overhyped. I shouldn't use the word toxic, but before doing something as close to being toxic, just step up you know, step back and analyze of why you want to do this. What is going to benefit?
True.
Why are you going to benefit out of it, or do you still even after doing a self harm or anything, how is it going to benefit you? It's just going to harm you, it's not going to benefit you. I think that one single thought will change
I
so many
think
things.
in such situations, I will suggest that take a step back to preserve your own emotional health, but try to understand that person also. That
Def- Definitely.
toxic. That is a very bad word actually. So
100%.
yeah, so that's what I would suggest, that be patient. That's what I was telling in regards to avoidant and anxious types, that you need to be patient with such people. The dismissive avoidant type can be very rude, like you will think that this guy or this girl is really so selfish and is full of attitude and they don't give a damn and all that stuff, but you need to understand that it takes patience to communicate with such people. But if that's taking a toll on your emotional health, then take your own space, take some step back, but don't keep a grudge against those people, judge those people. Try to understand them as well, that they are like that for a reason. They might have gone through some situation which have made them like that, but that should not be an excuse to be like that, you know
Definitely. It shouldn't become an excuse for any individual. That's
exactly.
100% true. The recommendations are very good, but when a person has been scarred by unhappiness, unfortunately, advice doesn't go far. True. You can never advise. As a person, I can never advise anyone, including my friends or anyone. I can never advise. I can show my empathy. I should never show my sympathy. Can show my empathy. I can understand where they are coming from,
See,
why they are
yeah,
doing that. Yeah. And if I am fine, if I am I am in a good place where I can take in their unhappiness, I can understand their unhappiness, I can indulge. Otherwise, I need to take a step back. If I am not doing well in my own life, if I am not mentally well, I would definitely recommend, please don't get involved in another person's life, because you're now just not playing with one mental health life, but you're playing with two. So you should, if you are fine with it, if you feel that you are mentally fine, you are in the stage or capacity to hold something of that unfortunate unhappiness, then you can go forward and share your empathy and talk about it. But otherwise, you can simply say that I understand where you're coming from, but we can sort it out via something else, via going to a counselor, via talking to another person. There are obviously ways. It's just not that giving an advice is not an end goal, because neither the person who's going to give the advice would do something, nor the person who's receiving the advice would take it far away.
right.
Yes,
See,
Divya.
it's ultimately it's up to you. It's up to your own perception of the situation which you have gone through. So the advices or the recommendations which we are giving is going to is a way of making you aware of some things. It's not something which you should be definitive of, but you should be it's you when you get out of the dump, basically. So everyone has a scarred life. Everyone has scars in their life at one point or the other. They hit rock bottom really bad, and some people are even stuck in the vicious cycle. But that can be considered a vicious cycle only if you perceive it to be a vicious cycle. That is what I would say. Your perception is your reality, and if you feel that yes, I can definitely come out of it and I believe there is positivity in the world, you can definitely become more positive and into a secure attachment person, basically. I can completely understand if you are gone through some really bad phases and situations in your life. Everyone does. I can really relate to it. I've gone through it myself. I've been into anxious styles. I've been into avoidant styles also, but I've come out of it really. Like it took me years, but I'm definitely better now, and I am into more of a secure attachment style as of now. But you never know. Life is always unpredictable, and it can again pull you back into the ditch. But it's up to you if you want to get out of it. Believe in the positivity of the world, believe in the goodness of people, don't be judgmental, and learn to love yourself. Even learn to love your scars, you learn from them. That is the utmost thing, which is I always emphasize on. You need to love yourself, you need to understand your self-worth. You are worth every happiness in this world, and you deserve the world. That is what I keep saying in every video. You are worth it. So,
Yes, 100% Divya. Thank you so much for telling that you're worth. Uh, you deserve all the everyone in this world deserves all the happiness, and just that one thought will give them the will to do anything, will to achieve
right,
anything, and yeah, when there's a will, there's always a way. So
of
that's
course.
what we all need to work for. Just need to one push, one motivation, one will to strive or reach happiness. I think with that happy note, we shall end the session. Yeah, I think it's 9:45.
Yes.
Yeah, we shall end the session up with this. Anything else, you can always email me or Divya. If you can type your email ID, they can contact you via mail. Can you
Okay.
type your email ID in the chat box?
Email ID.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that if anyone wants to contact her, they can contact her as well. Thank you so much for everyone who had attended this webinar and the Facebook viewers also. Thank you so much for sitting through the webinar and taking in all the goodness we spoke about today.
Yeah.
Divya has one second. I'll just copy this so that I can put it on the Facebook chat also, so that people can contact you. Okay. Okay. I think with this we can end the session. Thank you so much, Divya. We will
Yes.
chat privately.
Glad.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Have
you
a
all.
good day,
Good. Have a
everyone.
good day.
Take care of yourself. See you.